Hi guys, welcome to our channel Tax Companion. So this video is about GSTR 2A and GSTR 3B and the ITC that is associated, the differential ITC and all the notices, all the intimations that we have got so far relating to a difference between GSTR 3B ITC and the ITC in GSTR 2A. So CBIC has come up with a circular providing clarifications on a lot of differences between GSTR 3B and 2A. This is because in 2017 and 2018, the Rule 36(4) of CGST rules was not effective. It came into being only in October 2019. So till that time, even though there was Section 16 that provided a certain set of conditions and restrictions for availing ITC, it had no connect with GSTR 2A. The conditions in Section 16 was about receiving the goods and the taxes being paid to the government, having invoice copies, and all of that. It had no connect with GSTR 2A. And because of that, many of us, we have taken credit also based on Section 16. And later on, this reconciliation with GSTR 2A came into being, and there were a lot of notices in this regard. So, by way of this circular, they have provided relief to 4 category of differences. The first category is where the supplier has paid GST by 3B, but he failed to file GSTR 1. Because he failed to file GSTR 1, the credit was not reflected in R2A. So in this case, CBIC has clarified that they will allow the credit. The second scenario is where the supplier has filed GSTR 1. He has paid GSTR 3B also. He has paid tax and GSTR 3B also. But he failed to include the particular invoice in question. So in that case also, CBIC has clarified that the credit can be considered. The third case is where the supplier has filed GSTR 3B. He has filed GSTR 1 also. He has included this particular invoice in GSTR 1. But instead of B2B, he has shown it as B2C. Because it is shown as B2C, it is not reflecting in 2A of the registered person and credit is not available to that person. In this case also, CBIC has clarified that the credit, if he has taken in 3B, it will be allowed. The fourth scenario is where the supplier has filed GSTR 1, he has filed GSTR 3B, he has taken this particular invoice in B2B only, but he has used the wrong GSTN number. So in this case also, CBIC has clarified by this circular that the credit is allowed. But for the proper officer to allow this credit, he has to ascertain whether the conditions in Section 16 of CGST Act has been satisfied by this registered person. So how will he verify? He has to ensure that the registered person is in possession of the invoice copy, the tax invoice. He has received the goods and services. He has made payment to the supplier. And in case there is any reversal of ITC to be made, the required ITC reversal is also made. So these are the important conditions in Section 16. And the most important condition in Section 16 is the supplier should have paid the tax to the government. Now, how the proper officer will get convinced in this particular matter? For this, the circular clarifies that in case the difference in amount, that is the amount in question, that is in the amount in GSTR 3B, ITC availed in GSTR 3B, but it is not available in GSTR 2A. This differential amount, if it exceeds 5 lakh rupees, then the proper officer will need a certificate from a chartered accountant or a cost accountant certifying that the supplies in respect of these invoices has been made by the supplier to the registered person and the supplier has remitted the tax in his Form GSTR 3B. The certificate should contain UDIN also. That also they have clarified. And in case the differential amount is less than 5 lakh, then the proper officer will need a certificate from the concerned supplier to the effect that the supplier has actually made a supply to the registered person and he has paid taxes also in his form 3B. So for these four categories of errors, CBIC has allowed the credit provided the proper officer is convinced that the conditions of section 16 are properly fulfilled. This is applicable for all the litigations, pending proceedings pertaining to financial year 2017-18 and 18-19. It is not applicable if a proceeding has been completed. So we cannot reopen any completed proceedings, but if there is any proceeding that is pending or it is an appeal stage and litigatory stage also, this particular circular is applicable. So an important catch in this circular is 4.2. So generally the due date for filing for claiming ITC until recently it was changed. It was the due date for filing the return of September month return of the subsequent year. So in 1718 case, it was September 18. But 1718 being the first year of implementation, government made a few relaxations and they told they have inserted this proviso, that is proviso to section 16.4, that provides that you can claim ITC up to March 19, provided the supplier files his GSTR 1 and the details of the said supply is furnished in his GSTR 1. So, this circular does not supersede that provision and hence for the credit availed in the returns post September 18 to March 19, if any credit is availed pertaining to 1718, that credit can be availed only if the corresponding supplier has furnished the details in his GSTR 1. So, this relaxations that is mentioned in the circular does not supersede the proviso of section 16.4 and hence we have to be careful and ensure that if any credit is availed pertaining to 1718 in the returns of October to March, for those credit can be availed. Credit is allowed only if the corresponding supplier has furnished the return the details in his GSTR 1. This is the most important catch in the particular circular. Other than that, it is a very good move and there will be a lot of lesser litigations because of the difference between 3B and 2A. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more updates.